Aloha and welcome. This is Relationship Empowerment, and I am your host, Geralyn St. Joseph. I am a relationship empowerment coach, and we talk about all kinds of relationships. It doesn't really matter whether you're looking for a romantic relationship, whether you're in a relationship and you want to make it better, or if you're talking about family members and friends, or even coworkers. Today, what we're talking about is the almighty list. Are you looking for a relationship, or are you trying to figure out what you really want from a romantic relationship and what you need? Have you been told to create your list? Most of us who've been single for a while will know about the list. And people have been touting the list for a really long time. I'm old. I can tell you it's been a really long time. There's a problem, though, with the list, and part of that problem is the way we think we're supposed to use it and the way we create it. So, today, on today's podcast, what we're going to do is talk about the list myth. Why do I call it a myth? I call it a myth because it is so misunderstood. The kernel of the truth is there, that little bit that's really useful, and then we blow it way out of proportion and mess the whole thing up. So, one, what's the list? The list is a list of attributes that we want in our partner. They're must haves. So, we put things like, well, I put things like kind, compassionate, intelligent, funny, things like that. Some people fill their lists with more, how shall we say, physical requirements: tall, short, fat, skinny, athletic, whatever it is physically that they're attracted to. And sometimes they forget about the really important stuff, like what kind of a personality the person maybe should have, or what kind of integrity is best for their relationship. So when we make our list, and I believe next week we're going to be talking about the list itself and actually creating them together. One of the ways that we're told to do that is look at our relationships that we've had already, or relationships that we admire, and try to figure out what it is that we find alluring about that relationship. What in that relationship do we find as being appealing to us? What worked best for us if it's coming from our own relationships? And then sometimes what we do is, if we haven't had any good relationships or haven't had any relationships that are truly healthy, one of the things that we'll do is then try to think about our relationships and the person we were with and then do the opposite. So, for instance, if someone cheated on us, we would say, I want somebody who doesn't cheat. Wrong verbiage, number one. And really focusing in on the negatives is not a good way to start looking for the positives, because the opposite of something that you don't want is not always something that you want anyway. For instance, if you don't want somebody who they just talk too much, and the opposite of that is, I don't want somebody who talks, you're going to the other extreme, and that's not really healthy or helpful. Sometimes, too, as we're doing this and building up our lists, we make the mistake of kind of romanticizing our past relationships and forgetting exactly why we left. So, in what other ways do we tend to misuse our list? Your list can be short, it can be long, it can be very complete, it can be sparse. On average, though, people's lists tend to be, nice size, like 20, 25 things. I know people with 80 things on their list. I know people with 5 things on their list, but on average, there's about 20, 25 things. What they do is, when they meet new people or they start seeing someone, um, they will have this list. It's all ready. They have it's there's check boxes. And if they're looking at it and they can check like 3 or 4 of the boxes, this is the person. They match my list. And they immediately take their list and staple it to the other person's forehead as if that person was the entire list. And then they move through the relationship, ignoring red flags, not listening when the person is telling them this is not really who I am, and then being so distraught and so disillusioned when this person does not match their list verbatim. Whose fault is that? Is that the person? Maybe they were trying to, as we all do, put your first foot forward, your best foot forward when you first get into a relationship. Maybe they are genuinely like 4 or 5 things on your list, but the rest of it, that's not them. They're a little bit different. It might be a little bit their fault, but it's mostly yours. Because we don't allow our partners to reveal themselves to us, we make assumptions. And we make these assumptions based on other assumptions. And assumptions are never good. Never good to assume things. Communication is key. And it's something that we as a world need to really focus on and hone. Because we don't communicate, or we don't communicate thoroughly, we don't communicate clearly, and make sure the other person understands what we're saying and that we understand what they're saying, there are a lot of assumptions going on. There was the old show, The Odd Couples, and Felix was schooling Oscar about something, and he said, "You don't assume. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. ASSUME. Assume." That was one of the best lessons I think I ever got as a kid, was watching that show, because that has obviously always sticked in my head, always stuck in my head. I don't know, my diction is not great today. I apologize. But it is a great lesson. Don't assume. Ask. Be certain. Have clarity. When we make assumptions about other people based on our beliefs and based on what we want, and then later on down the line we're disillusioned because we were wrong, that's not their fault. It's not, they didn't lie to us, we lied to ourselves. And that's where the list myth comes from. Because we believe that if somebody has some of the things on our list, that they must have everything, and we make that assumption, it negates the whole point of having a list. There should be several different degrees of the list. There needs to be must-haves, and then, well, this would be nice, this would be really great, and then, well, I would really like this, but I could do without it. So that you know what you're looking for. The whole idea is to craft the perfect partner for yourself. Just imagine what that looks and feels like, how that makes you feel, what that person would do, what they would sound like. Not necessarily whether they have the deep voice, or they have a very high pitched voice, or they have a southern accent, or they have a northern accent, or whatever, but more what they sound like, as in, how do they teach you? How do they treat you? How do they express themselves to you? What do they sound like? When I was younger, and still a little bit now that I'm older, one of the things that I did not like was if I was with someone, especially when I first met them, and they used a lot of profanity. Now, I use some profanity, especially as I get older. However, it's not part of my diction where it's every other word. I'm not using it all the time. A lot of times I will use it for emphasis, or if my son and I are horsing around and telling jokes, we use it. But it's not something that is harsh and used in my speech all the time. So, as a younger person, and even as I move forward, I feel that that is a sign of disrespect. So, when someone is on a date with me, especially if we just met, we've only been on a couple of dates, or this is, our first date, if someone comes in with the profanity right away and every other word is FFF or whatever word they like to use, immediate turn off for me. So, I know that that is something that I don't like. But why don't I like it? Because I see it as a sign of disrespect. So, what are we digging down into? It's, I want to be respected. I want to give respect and I want to have respect. When we're making our list and when we're looking at these are things that we need to look at. Like some people might think, oh, he's got to be 6'2". Have to be with somebody 6'2". You are 5'1". Is that really, really a requirement? I understand, as a general rule, most women, or many women, like tall men. They want their partner to be bigger than them. They want to feel protected. However, somebody being bigger and someone being able to protect you are two different things. So, which of those is it that you really want? Do you really need someone to be bigger than you, height wise? Do you want them to have big energy? A lot of our small kings have big energy where they can walk into a room and command the room. Or do you want somebody who can protect you and who wants to protect you? So maybe he's not 6'2", maybe he's 5'6", you're 5'1". He's still bigger than you, but maybe he's a martial artist or a hockey player or a soccer player, somebody who is fit and has quick reactions and could protect you if it came down to it, and was willing to do so, cared about you enough, cared about women enough that they have this protector kind of a piece to them. What I'm going to be asking you to do next week when we talk about creating our lists is to chunk down, like really look at it. Why am I looking for that? Oh, I'm just attracted to blue eyes. I definitely has to have blue eyes. Why? What do blue eyes mean to you? What is it that you're really looking for? Are you just looking for somebody who looks like an old flame? Are you looking for someone who looks like you? Are you looking for someone of a certain descent? Are you looking, why blue eyes? What is it specifically that you're looking for? And we'll be doing that next week. The list has become a myth because it is way overused and it is used completely in the wrong way. There are many good ways to use the list, but staple it to somebody's forehead after you've only known them for a date or two is not it. So, how do we use the list? I'll tell you how not to use it. You don't need every single little thing that's on the list to be part of that person. The reason you're creating a list is to have like a wish list of what would be nice, and you want to create your list so you can recognize what it looks like to be in a good relationship, so that you can recognize when you meet someone who's a good partner, a healthy partner. We don't need, if you have 80 things on your list, all 80 things don't need to be met in order for it to be a good partner. And basically, the list needs to be in the back of your mind. And I call it a wish list. Your wish list needs to be back of mind. What you're doing by creating it, when you go through that process, you're helping yourself to see what a good partner looks like and what a good relationship would feel like. Part of that may be learning about what your love language is and wanting to discern what your partner's love language is. And part of it will be like what things are most important to you. Is it looks? Because for some people it is. For some people, looks are paramount. That's what they want. They want someone who looks a very specific way, and that's what they want. That's what they need. That's their must have. That's fine. That's who they are. But the purpose of the list is not to try to come up with your absolutely perfect partner, and that you're giving your list to God, and God's creating this perfect partner for you, and then they appear on your doorstep. That's very magical thinking. It's about recognizing when someone walks into your life who has potential, who has positive potential to be what you're looking for and more. What characteristics are you looking for? Creating your list is something that can be very powerful and very potent for you. Or it can be very painful because you're doing it wrong. Because when you meet somebody, as I said in the beginning, and they meet a couple of the things on your list, that then you assume that they meet everything else, and that's not true. The other way it can be painful for you is if you think that they have to meet everything on your list. And when you meet somebody who meets some of the things, but not all the things, and you throw them away because they're not perfect. No one is perfect. And even the way you come up with your list and the way you envision the person, that may not actually be the perfect person for you. Because remember, we're building this list based on, we pull things from all around us, relationships that we see that we think are so romantic and passionate and wonderful. We might be doing it from movies and books, always a bad idea. By our past relationships, which obviously didn't work. And instead of looking for something healthy, we're looking for something that stimulates us physically. All these things need to be taken into consideration. And finding a partner who is healthy for you to be with, and who helps you and uplifts you to be the best person that you could be, that is a healthy relationship. That is a better suited relationship. You may want, and a lot of people say this, I want somebody who accepts me just as I am. Okay, it's good to have someone who adores you and accepts you, but if you have things that are keeping you from being successful, or keeping you from really being close with someone and really connected, maybe those are things they shouldn't accept. Maybe those are things they should like push you on, just like a good friendship. Your best friends are the ones who will tell you that you have spinach in your teeth. Your best friends are the ones who will tell you you are acting like a complete a-hole. Those are good friends. They're honest with you. They're upfront with you. And they will slap you out of your delusion if you're doing something that is harmful to yourself and or others. And a partner should be the same. They should hold you to a higher standard, just like you're holding them. We should use the list and pull it out, you know, wipe all the dust off when we meet people and we're starting relationships, just to see where they fit there, and to make sure that our relationship is healthy. Also, be open to people showing you who they are. That is extremely important. You need to step back and allow the other person to reveal themselves. One of the first things a lot of people ask when you first get together is, what are you looking for in a mate? Not the best answer. not the best question, rather. A better question is, what kind of a relationship are you looking for? Are you looking for a full-time partner? Are you looking for something that starts off light and then becomes deeper? Like, what are you looking for? However, oftentimes when people ask you, what kind of a guy are you looking for? Then or a girl, and they try to mold themselves into whatever it is that you are describing. And that's not really who they are. That sets you up for failure. You don't want to hand it to them. And you don't want them to hand it to you, because you don't want to go in with any preconceived notions, or like, I can do that. I can be that person, especially if that's not really who you are. So maybe they're looking for somebody who is more of a traditional person, where the husband goes out and works and mom will stay home and raise the kid and keep the house. If you're dating a high test lawyer and she really loves her career, she's probably not into that. She might be looking for a relationship, but she wants a mutually supportive relationship. It's a little bit different. Not that the other wouldn't want a mutually supportive relationship also, but she's looking for somebody who is going to help her maintain her career as well as build a family. So knowing what you want, need, and expect is important. And that's what the list is supposed to do. It's supposed to give you an idea of what those things are. When we use it properly, the list is an invaluable tool that can really help you pinpoint what it is you're looking for in a relationship, and really help you to pull that in and recognize when you found someone who is maybe not the perfect partner, but a really good partner for you and someone that you care about. Remember, when we're talking about relationships, all relationships, there is a give and take. Both of you need to come to the table with something. And especially in romantic relationships, you need to come to the table with something. And they need to come to the table with something. And then you negotiate. And then you get closer and you get to know each other. And hopefully you find that you're a good match. And if not, you'll know when to walk away. That is the usefulness of the list. On, I believe it's October 16th, I'm having a paid for a 4-fee class where we're going to be creating our lists. We're going to talk about what should be on it, what doesn't need to be on it, and how to create your, not just your preferences, but what you most need in a relationship, what your priorities should be, what to look for, and how to look for it. So I hope this helped. Don't get carried away with the list. It does not need to be exact. It's there to help you figure out what a healthy relationship looks like and what it'll feel like. It's not there for you to hand your checklist to God and for him to create a perfect atom out of the clay. And as long as you remember that we're all human and what we're all looking for is to be loved, I'm sure you'll do well. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. We will be doing a series on romantic relationships for the next few podcasts and whatnot. And then we'll move on to another topic. I hope you stay with us. Subscribe and ring the bell. Hit that like button, and that way more people will get to see us and help us spread the word that healthy relationships are worth it. I'm Geralyn St. Joseph. This is Relationship Empowerment. Have a great day. Mahalo.